Man, do you have a good day at school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tell your
Yeah.
boy I'm up here on the phone, okay?
Mhm.
And you're gonna have to go here in a second.
Mhm. He's outside.
He's outside and we'll keep him there. You take that kid, you take that outside.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'll be down in a little bit. You say bye?
Bye. Dad, I was gonna check her
Bye.
clothes.
You're close. Here, take that with you. I'm gonna shut the door.
So it looks like everything's recording. It's doing an upload. Everything looks good. I'll say like when we are done, just leaving like the browser open. Don't exit out of your phone on it right away. You can put it into the background. Just don't exit off because it'll ultimately go through and continue to upload if anything is left over. I know I've had that in the past. I should have said that beginning last time, but there
You're
was
good.
there was absolutely no sound or video of you. It was literally just me talking
Weird.
to myself and then complete silence. It was weird. I've never had that happen before. So
That's pretty good.
usually
Blooper reel
it's
that.
yeah, like okay, well, I'm listening here. I'm going, yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, just into the silence. It's so stupid. I'm like, all right, perfect. Go in, edit, nothing. Great. So but this should be good. Even though like might show a screen, you can kind of look. I don't know if it shows you on your side or whatnot, but it'll show like it's like 95% uploaded on your side, X, Y, and Z, and it'll ultimately makes the screen. It clarifies later on, but
Okay.
but
Yeah,
cool.
I'll just leave it.
I will do a little bit of it.
Whatever.
Okay, I'll do a little bit of an intro and then kind of like last time, and we'll dive into it. So it was just meant to
Good.
be. So dive into some other stuff.
Yeah, there you
All
go.
right, here we go. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Experience More podcast. Pumped and excited to have each and every one of you guys back here this week. I am joined by a special guest. This is actually round 2. If you guys follow social media in any way, shape, or form, I had recorded with my man, Zach, last week, and he's gracious enough to be able to come back on, do an episode again. Apparently, it's just everything happens for a reason. I believe that. And I don't know. I'm excited to be able to have this. We've gotten the kinks worked out and hopefully technology allows us to have another great conversation. So how are you doing, dude? How's the week been?
Good. It's been good. Good start to the week. That's always a positive thing.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, if you guys don't know, or for the individuals listening who don't know you, give people a little bit of a background rundown on yourself.
So I am a small business owner. Just started a small business a year ago, July. Family had owned funeral homes before that, so I was a mortician. And then, so I've been really did that for the most part up until the last year. I've always done land management on the side. So that's kind of where I've been transitioned. Hey, can you go downstairs, please?
You're good. We're
Girlfriend's
also a
got the
dad.
bottom.
And we live in the
And it's
dad life,
exactly-
wrangling the kiddos. So, no, if you guys don't know Zach, he, like you said, landowner, or property manager, been in the outdoor space for a very long time. He is a fanatic when it comes to the turkey woods, and just being able to hunt with this individual and gain our friendship over the last few years has just been really, really cool. Dad, father, stellar human. Him, his wife, Gabby, have gone through their own fitness journey as a whole. And for new listeners, ultimately on the show, that's really a big piece of the Experience More show is how to get out there and really, truly experience more of the outdoors and really the life you live with those you enjoy to live it with. So that's really kind of a piece, why wanting to be able to have Zach on here. Of course, we're going to dive into some turkey hunting stuff because he is the pro, the professional. I just usually, if I get the opportunity to hunt with him, I'm like, I shut up. I don't even pull my calls out. I usually pull them out to make it seem like I'm going to do something, but I just let Zach run the race. But so Zach, now that we've kind of got the kiddos off to the side, but
the catalog on door. That life got along.
So of course, dad, outdoorsman, you started your own personal business. You were mortuary beforehand. I guess let's just kind of dive. We'll go into the outdoor side of it off the rip here. How long have you been hunting, or like what got you into hunting in the outdoors for you?
It was my grandpa, my mom's dad, who introduced me to the obsession. I think there's a picture. I don't know how old I was, but I was not very old running a turkey call, which is, you can imagine that pretty well instilled why season and turkey hunting is so high on my list. But it's been, I mean, as long as I can remember. I mean, I think my first hunt was at 3 or 4, and then it's just snowballed since then. So he was the one who really,
That's awesome.
growing up, was the one who took me out. My mom hunts. She just, I mean, she kind of is just a part of family, kind of that situation. So during rifle season, she'll hunt. She doesn't really turkey hunt. So going with my grandpa, he was the one who really installed that passion in with me. We were always, it didn't matter what time of the year it was, hunting season or even in the off season, we were always out at the farm tinkering. And I'm sure that had to do with my passion for land management as well. So he was the one who really got me addicted to the outdoors for sure.
That was there any particular story or moment when you were younger growing up that's just kind of vivid in your mind that was kind of like a trigger point for you that just hooked you to the turkey side of things?
I want to say it was probably the first time that he took me and we actually, what I would consider, went turkey hunting. Like beforehand, when you got Aurora, so you understand this to a point when
Mm-hmm.
you want to take them, but you also like have to cater a little bit. So getting to that point where I was able to actually go, I think
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I was 5 or 6 probably at this point, and we were actually able to go, and we had one come just
Mm-hmm.
absolutely textbook screaming in the timber. And if you don't know what that sounds like with an Eastern, you're missing out. When an Eastern comes screaming through the timber, it is shit like, and it's just, I'm sure he always talked about it. My eyes just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger the closer he got, and just screaming down our chest. And he ended up shooting him. But it was one of those situations where it's like, I was like this for like a week, like what just happened? And then that was the hooking point for me as to that
Yeah.
needs to continue to be a thing. So
Mm-hmm.
that was definitely probably the one that at least I can remember. I'm sure. I mean, I know,
Yeah.
like I said, I had been turkey hunting and deer hunting a long time before that, but that's the one that I personally first remember. Obviously, remember first turkey, first deer,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, which was like for me big. But I mean, for me, as far as like big moments go, and the thing that really like continues to drive that for me is like when I've been able to take Gabby and getting to introduce her to the outdoors. And then hopefully one day, depending on if they want to do it, that's something that I'm looking forward to if they do and they want that opportunity, is taking my kids too. So, but just taking anybody new and being able to kind of live that feeling for them and live that experience through them, that's a big thing for me to keep me going.
Yeah, dude, it's been awesome to watch, of course, and I know we talked about this before and everything with you. And of course, you whitetail hunt, and you got some friggin' giants when it comes into the whitetail woods, and just watching you go through all that. But definitely, I mean, I've never been. Well, I guess we've been whitetail hunting, but I've never been like in the stand with you. But watching, I mean, you're in your zone. Like I can tell, like there's so much passion and just like in a totally different element when you're in the turkey woods and going out hunting with you. And just watching you, of course, like with your daughter and everything. We were, I was fortunate enough to go up with you a few weeks back, and watching you, daughter, Gabby, like taking them out on that. And to the point, like, yeah, there's it's a little bit slower moving, or you're kind of catering, trying to figure out what's ultimately happening. But it's the coolest thing being able to watch the kids come into it, because to your point, like whether I have Aurora come out with me, or I can think back of the moments where I went out with grandpa on, whether it was a deer drive and it was just us in the pickup truck, the cab of the truck, and we're talking about to your point, kind of the land management side of things, or being shoved into a tree with my dad up where we had this pallet built stand wrapped in rubber, that probably shouldn't have been inside of it, but it was, built sturdy enough in that 3 base. It's all those moments, right? It's those memories to where just even going through and us sitting under that platform, right? And you got your little girl laying there taking a nap or eating some snacks next to you. And we're, hoping, a gobbler comes into the meadow. It's all those moments compiled and built to where it's like right now in that, yeah, we were out turkey hunting, chasing turkeys. To them, whether it's, a kid or someone hunting for the first time, Like those are all potential core memories, right? That are
Absolutely.
ultimately built, right? So I love watching it, love seeing you in your element, being able to go out and just get after them. That for you, because of course you do whitetail hunt too, right? Like, what is it about turkey hunting that really is the difference for you? Why is it that is such a passion? Because I know whitetail is too, but like, what is it for turkey hunting for you?
It's just the interaction. I mean, you can get that interaction kind of during the rut with whitetails, but it's nowhere near the same. I think the pace too, because I always say this, I don't understand it, but I am the most impatient person until it comes to deer hunting, and I could sit and wait for a deer all day. Daylight to dark, it don't
Hmm.
matter if I'm not freezing cold, then or
Yeah.
sweating my butt off, I'm just fine. It's just that interaction. I've always been told that I've never elk hunted before. So I've always been told when I do that, I'm going to have a problem, which I'm sure I will. So,
Oh yeah.
um, see, but it's just that constant interaction with them, and the pace is
Hmm.
much quicker, especially the way I like to hunt. Like I don't like to sit still, which burns me quite
You
often.
turkey hunting is like, yeah, you turkey hunting sounds a lot like me elk hunting, to where there's a lot of people who like sit, call, wait, spot, that kind of stuff. I'm like, no, let's get into their bedroom. Let's go. Fastest point between two spots is a straight line, and it doesn't
That's right.
matter. We're going there. Yeah. So I look forward to that day. We got to make an elk hunt happen some point in time, because
Absolutely.
yeah, it's the best drug out there. Well, going in, like kind of going into the outdoor world, and kind of, this is kind of the blessing and the curse of, us having last conversation versus this one. Kind of give me a little bit of time to think, right? And
Mhm.
maybe ask some different questions and everything like that.
Right.
'Cause it's kind of like any conversation. But you, of course, have been with the Drury Outdoors crew for a minute. Known them, and you've been a part of that ecosystem for a while. So you've watched and seen the evolution of like social media, right? Within, or just media in general, right? Like being able to produce quality content, putting it out there. I mean, I remember watching Drury Outdoors with my dad back in the 90s. Like, I mean, that was what
Mhm.
we grew up on. Uh,
Yep.
to where for you being in that field, I guess, how do you feel about social media in the outdoor space? Because there's a lot of controversial things back and forth in that. What's kind of your take on it, being able to put stuff out there for other people to consume?
I think it's great when you're using it correctly. I think that there's people going out there and
Mm-hmm.
it exposes it brings up things like, I'll get into controversial one from the jump with turkey hunting and fanning and reaping and all that stuff. I mean, to me, as long as it's legal, you're doing it ethically and you're doing it in a safe way, all things are on the table. Like I'll use it if I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely have to. It's just not something that the way our farm lays and the farms around me lay, we just don't really have a ton of that opportunity. So it's just not something that I use a ton. But like then you go out and I mean there's some
Mm-hmm.
circulating this year that I'm like, that don't look good. But so there's that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a great like YouTube, social media. Like I learn as much now as I did back in the day from like reading articles and all that stuff just by going onto YouTube and popping on some random hunting show and just letting it play, seeing what they do. I mean, you're always in this game, you're always learning. So it's a great thing in that aspect. But like, I mean, I think with anything, you can take it the wrong way. I mean, it's a great thing to push in the
Right.
right direction, push in a positive direction. But as soon as we cross that line, I mean, it's all out there and it's not coming back. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of a double edged sword
Right.
in certain situations, but I think it's a good thing for 90%, 95% of what's out there and what people are trying to put out there.
If someone's like, okay, so going into that, knowing kind of the background piece, like if someone's, you know, let's say getting in to hunting, right? Or they're, whether it's turkey, whitetail, any of that kind of stuff, and they're wanting to, you know, film their right? Their hunts or do those kind of things. Like, what are some tips that you could give them, or maybe some things to ultimately stay around? Like, 'cause it is to your point, like, I believe social media is a great, powerful tool, but just with any great power comes responsibility, right? Like, how are you using it? How are you showing it? Just using it as a tool for education and to share the experience as a whole, right?
Mhm.
But what are some do's and don'ts kind of when it comes to sharing your journey in the outdoor space?
I think the one thing that has burned me and still burns me to this day, and I've been doing this very, very fortunate in the fact that I've never shot a deer off camera, which is wild to say. Like, I've never shot a buck off camera. Turkeys, obviously, it's a little bit different because turkey meat isn't as highly consumed as deer is. So,
Hmm.
through the years, learned a lot, obviously. I think I started, that would have been in '04 when I shot my first deer. And then I started actually filming with Duries in '09. So it's hard to believe that's been 16 years or 17 years. So I would just say keeping it simple. Don't break the bank with all these fancy cameras. I mean, if you want to get into it after you start and learn, like, go for it. But
Hmm.
I mean, the POV cameras, it's incredible what those can do nowadays. And just keeping it simple and continuing to kind of piggyback on learning and just progressing in steps, that's would be the way that I would suggest. Or, I mean, if you're fortunate enough to have some second person go with you, that's where it's self-filming is the most rewarding, frustrating thing in the outdoors that you can do for sure. There's so many deer and turkey that have not been shot at because of a camera. So take
Hmm.
that from the jump as to understanding the frustration that could go into that. But keeping it simple and not necessarily relying on that, especially if you're not trying to produce at a level that
Hmm.
you're not producing with any meaning that it's if it's the difference between getting it on camera and harvesting the animal, like, harvest the animal because you will remember that experience for the rest of your life. Not getting it on camera is what it is. So that would be what I would suggest. Just kind of working into it, finding somebody who knows what they're doing. And I still like pick, like heard me, and I've talked with you a few times, talked with your brother when we were up in deer camp. And then I've talked to
Hmm.
Stefan about like DSLR stuff and all that kind of stuff. I was picking his brain when he was up. I'm always trying to learn
Hmm.
cameras. I'm not the most tech savvy guy,
Yeah,
but
dude.
just the little
Right.
intricacies that people can learn, what I
Oh,
can
yeah.
just continue to level.
Yeah. Well, it's an evolution to it, right? I think that's to your point. Like, hey, don't let filming your hunt rob you from the experience itself, right? Like, yeah,
Absolutely.
you can bring it with, be able to capture it. Like, that's where, I mean, shoot, I even think of the elk I got a couple years ago. Like, I documented a lot of the journey. And it's really cool to look back, and there's still a story there to look back, bringing my daughter. And I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen. Oh man, we did get through that. Right. So it's like capturing moments through there, but making sure it didn't take away from the family experience as a whole. And like, I didn't get my, the kill shot or anything on it, but there's a point where it's like, hey, I was successful throughout the hunt, and it
Yes.
was something that was, I've wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. Right. So
Mhm.
that was, something kind of take from that, and for others, throughout the journey of it, to where it's very easy to get too wrapped up into that, to where it's, oh, you're trying to produce just content versus get out there and experience it. And I would say, too, for anyone who's listening, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if you have a different kind of perspective in this, there's two great ways to learn. And this is where it comes social media is one, find someone to go with, right? I think this is where Zach, I try to do it as much as I can. I think you do as well, is like, if you have the ability to go out hunting, not everyone has the land for it. Not everyone has the opportunities, or they're, late to hunting. They didn't have a grandfather or father. Like, be that individual, maybe invite someone to come along, right? But also, if you're new, be someone who is willing to just go along, not expect to get anything, but expect to like learn. So going out and doing that and being a part of that journey, I think, is one. Number two, like, and this is where social media is such a great tool, I believe, is like, to your point earlier, like, go on and watch some of the YouTube videos, watch how those guys call, not just watching them be successful in a hunt, but how are they, can like traversing the land, right? Where are they looking? How are they calling? How are they listening? There's so many different intricacies that ultimately happen throughout a hunting video that you're able to pick up on. And I think too many people get caught up like, oh, yep, there's the call or there's the bull. They're just chasing them through. Like you're able to dissect little nuggets, little pieces of information that can help you be more successful when you do go out if you don't have that person to go with. I don't know if there's anything you like to add there for someone new hunting or would like to interject into that.
No, absolutely. That's finding, if you can find someone that will allow you just to tag along, that's going to be one of the best ways to learn. And it's just kind of, it's crazy. I relate this to like my kids right now. It's like, I don't necessarily think through all the stuff that we're doing, but they're continuously watching because they'll bring something up that we did 2 weeks ago that I didn't even think twice about, that they'll talk about 2 weeks later and be like, this, and this. And then it's like interesting to see. And it's just like being able to go with somebody and experience that firsthand, the good and the bad. That's the one thing that also piggybacking on the video side of it, I don't think people understand the hours that are behind that for those 30 to hour long videos. Like the amount of minutes that is filmed to get that 30-minute video is wild to see on the backside of it. So seeing, you see the success and then it's like every time they go out, they're having success. No, you're just not seeing the 7 days between hunts that there was film footage from for every day that wasn't there. But back to first timers, like you have such an accessibility with social media, YouTube, all of that stuff to get content nowadays. And like you're saying, it's the same situation as being able to find somebody to take you, just like you said, observing what they're doing, how they're doing it, different perspectives. Like there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. You don't have to agree with every one of them, but it all can work. So it's understanding that just having all those abilities to use those thought processes, use those ideas in different situations, formulating the way that you would like to do it. That's a great way to kind of more quickly jump into it and have success. Because I mean, they're gonna teach you no matter how good you are. The best of them still learn. I still learn on the daily. Like Wisconsin, for some reason, has my number. And finally, we checked one of them off this weekend. It fits my kryptonite for some reason.
Yeah.
It's just your constant learning that situation. So we got it, but
Yeah.
but it's what it is. You're always learning in those situations. You just take it in.
Oh, 100%, man. That's the cool thing, hunting in the outdoors. I mean, really, whether it's Midwest, out West, elk, turkey, whitetail, like I always learn something new about myself, about the skills and it really taking someone new helps me gain perspective of what I might take for granted. Right. And what I actually know. And then trying to slow down and ultimately walk through those things. But it's like, dude, this is, a very, very, like, we're very fortunate to have the lands, the public lands, the access and, family you grew up in, I grew up in. Not everyone has that. And there's a lot of people that don't have it. And there's a lot of people who are very, very fortunate to have those things. And it's like, hey, don't take it for granted. Right. And like, we want more people to get involved and we want to create a bigger impact in the outdoor space. It's going to take all of us ultimately going first. Someone's got to. So, but, dude, going off of that, let's dive into your turkey season that has been, just friggin' on fire for the most part. I don't know what ultimately happened in Wisconsin wholeheartedly, but kind of let's take people through how this season's ultimately been for you. Like what's it look like?
So it was good. I was on turkey season. Turkey hunting is very much so. It's ebbs and flows for sure. Like there's sometimes you could do nothing right and be doing everything right, or doesn't matter what you're doing and it's all right. And that's just the run I was on for a good portion of this season. It was one of those where I always say when you're on a heater, you're on a heater and you just ride it as long as you can because you know it's coming back the other way. And this weekend was a very good example of that. But yeah, so we're able to, I think I was a part of 9 harvests this spring, if I remember right. And it was something stupid, like 9 of 10 days that we went we were harvesting turkeys. I think the only day that for the Midwest portion that I didn't see one get harvested was the first day that you guys were in camp. But past that, and then
That's wild.
Wisconsin this weekend. It was great. I mean, turkeys were just behind what we were used to and what we typically have. I feel like we missed that here in the Midwest this year because of how fast forward spring has been. I think we're 2 to 3 weeks ahead as far as foliage and all that stuff. It's incredibly wild. But up there they were not. So we were dealing with end up turkeys, and there's just that's the patience side of it. You just kind of got to play their game and be where they want to be, and that's just not how I left the turkey hunt. So it's frustrating for me. But we had plenty of opportunity. Just unfortunately, some property lines got in the way. Like we had the last day we were there, so they have up there, it's very much so big ag, very much so out of my element because I'm used to timber birds. So like that's my favorite thing is to being able your interaction is much different with a timber bird than with one that's out in big ag, unless they're just wanting to come to the gun barrel, then that's a different situation. I mean, obviously that's kind of one it's hard to mess up. That's kind of the ride I felt like I was on this year. Is it just there was seemed like every time we were going out, it was just everything was falling into place. Like we called in 2 of them right off the jump, And there's a neighbor that they have up there. It's like a little square right off of their piece, and it's all big ag. And these birds were roosted like 800 or 900 yards away, and we watched them go up the evening before. So watched them come out in the field, and I said, "There's a gap in the fence here. We get decoys up behind us. Let's see if they just want to work to the other turkeys." I mean, obviously, I'll call them between there. Got them all the way to the fence, the first 2. And I would say they have had their butt kicked a few times because once they got to where they could really see because we had like I think we had 3 or 4 hens out and then Jake and a strutter because they were still pretty grouped up there as well. So we had that, and I'd say these 2 had their butt kicked quite a bit because their turkey numbers were very good up there compared to last year even. But these 2 came in, they got to probably 35 of the fence that we were setting in. And you just have to let them walk because they're across the property. You got to get them across the property line. And then we had the big group of them, which was 3 or 4 gobblers, and a pile of jakes and a pile of hens. And they ended up working in. And it's so funny. It's crazy to me how easily turkeys can pinpoint calling. Because like they came to the fence and were like, Gabby was sitting against the fence post. And they were literally, it's just a thicket, but down the fence line. And they were on the other side of like the little thicket on the other, like she could have almost reached out and grabbed them. They were that close on the other side of the fence, but they just would not come across. And we finally got the gobblers got them fired up enough that they were going to come. And it was like there's an invisible barrier right there. And they got to the fence. And I mean, one stuck his head up and he had to be like 6 or 7 yards and just couldn't get him to come across the fence.
Just one come across.
Yeah, and then dealing with end up turkeys, but we found a single the first day we were there, and we were set up on actually some other birds that we knew were in the back end of this field, and they went this way in the morning, so we were expecting them just to come back once we saw them. We're like, let's get in front of where we think they want to get. And we actually had one sneak in behind us, and then once we had a single hen out for that. Once he saw the hen, I kind of coerced his direction a little bit. And once he saw her, he came right to us. So that was good. So Gabby was able to shoot one. So did at least get one on the board.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it was
Freaking love it.
Great time because we don't get to see them enough. It's like with anything, like with you coming up, we don't see each other quite often enough. Definitely don't get to hunt enough together. And when you get those experiences, up till midnight or 1 o'clock, and then you're like, oh, we got to wake up at 3:45 tomorrow. So a lot of sleep.
Yep.
That's good times. So we
Yep.
enjoyed it nonetheless, successful or not. So, but
Love
yeah,
that.
it's been a ride, riding that way of all years. Been it's one I won't
Yeah.
forget for a while. I know next year's going to be kicking the tail probably.
Yeah, it's usually how it works, right? Just the ebbs and flows of it, to where it's like, yep, great year, don't feel like you can miss or can't lose, and then all of a sudden, Mother Nature and just karma comes swinging hard right back at you. The kind of little piece, like for new people coming in turkey hunting, maybe they've never turkey hunted before. I've gotten this question a handful of times, just even this year, asking, does weather, like how does weather affect the birds? I've gotten asked like, hey, does rain affect them? Like, what does that look like? I know we've talked about heat, that kind of stuff, but like, what's kind of the best case scenario? And like, is there like worst case scenario? What kind of shouldn't you maybe waste your time with? Where, are you really going to see maybe the best results, or where have you seen the best results when it comes into weather?
Weather definitely affects them in a certain extent. Like I think, especially here recently, as of the last couple of years, when it gets hot, especially early in the spring, like it did this year, it'll shut them up. It'll shut them down. They will not. They'll get in their little hole, and they'll stay there all day. It's wild to see, because you think a turkey is just continuously walking all day, and then you leave them first thing in the morning. You think they fly down and they're okay. They're in this little pocket. You come back later that night, they're still in that little pocket. It's just been kind of wild. That's one of the biggest ones that I've noticed here recently. Obviously, I think if you get a really horrible rainstorm, like thunderstorm in the spring, it can kind of shut them down a little bit. But I mean, rain also will push them to fields too. So there's a double-edged sword when it comes to that. So if you have the ability to sit through it safely, obviously, it can be a very effective
You
one.
say it pushes them. When you say it pushes them to fields, what's kind of the reasoning behind that?
I would assume it's so they can see, because they cannot hear with all the rain hitting leaves,
That makes
hitting all
sense.
that stuff. I just don't think it blocks out that sense, and then they go to their next sense, and it's their best sense anyway. So they
Yep.
just go to where they can see.
Yep.
That's my guess. I don't know. I'm no biologist by any means, so I don't know. That would be my guess with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some good
No, I
hunts
mean,
in rain.
it
So,
makes
I mean,
sense.
it's kind of it just depends on the situation. Ideally, I like cold. I wouldn't say cold, but like 35 to 50 somewhere first off the bat in the morning. I don't know what it is. I mean, colder days, they definitely will get it too, but that's kind of 35 to 50, and then maybe getting up to 55, 60 in the afternoon. I mean, you can look at, obviously, windy days, they'll gobble, but you're gonna have to get in the bubble to do it. Just to be for them to be able to hear you, you hear them kind of situation. Pressure, I've started noticing that a little bit more. There's kind of a sweet spot in there. It seems like it would have to be right around 30, give or take. You get too high. I think it's very similar to deer. You get too high, they won't gobble. You get too low, there's kind of a sweet spot in there. That's bulletproof by any means, but that's one I kind of
Yeah.
have started
It's kind of like
looking at consistently.
the barometric pressure kind of aspect of things, and just like low pressure, high pressure, like fronts and that kind of coming through. Gotcha.
It's frontal
Yeah.
through pressure and stuff like that. So that's kind of the ones I think. There's the old wise
Yeah.
tale. The east winds from the east, they'll gobble the least. I mean, I would say that's definitely got merit to it. If it's a cold easterly wind, I think southeast, I've not noticed southeast bother them near as much, because it's typically not a cold wind with a southeast. But you get a cold east or cold northeast, it'll shut them up pretty good. So those are kind of the ones that I've really noticed. I mean, for me, it's most of the time, other than looking at the rain, I'm just kind of doing it in the memory bank, because I'm going anyway, especially if I have someone to go with or tag to fill.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
For
mean,
me,
there's
it's
still, I mean,
awesome.
regardless of weather, like turkeys. Yeah. Well, turkeys are still doing turkey things regardless. I mean, shoot, I could definitely see yeah, right.
Like, I think it was,
well, even the,
can't remember what year it was, but we got 4 inches of snow night before opening day, and we had one of the wildest opening days I have ever been a part of. I was a part of four kills that day, and I know of like anybody I talked to shot a turkey that morning. It was just, for whatever reason, it was just one of those days where they were in a good mood. And that was
yeah,
4 inches. Like, the snow was melting off. Like, by the time Gabby and I doubled at like 9:30 that morning, and the snow was like, patches were off where it was really sunny, so it was warming up that day. But it's just how crazy it was. So, I mean, I've had some good hunts and rainstorms too. So, like you're saying, turkeys will do turkey things, especially if you can get to where you're visually seeing one and start calling to him and understanding how he's reacting and getting him tuned up to where he's going to do spring things no matter what's going on. So,
right. Well, it's kind of, I mean, from us going out hunting that one day when we were up there, day one, I mean, it was just quiet, right? Like, it was hard to even get him to give like a courtesy gobble or, a midday kind of pick me up or something like that. And it was that, and then we didn't even, when we tried to roost him that night, thing. I mean, you pulled out every single tool
yep.
you had in the tool chest to try and get them to roost. And for those guys who don't know what roosting is, it's similar to an elk, where you go out the night before or the night prior to you going out, and you're trying to do a location call, right? And something that'll ultimately drum them up. And they'll usually, even at night, just like elk, right at that dusk time, like, even if you don't do anything, you'll usually hear a gobble by itself or just like different location gobbles. Same with elk. Elk will do the same thing at dusk. They do different location bugles. And usually if you let a call out, one of them will reply back and forth. And what that does is it allows you to locate where they have roosted, just like chickens do in a hen house or anything like that. Like, they're roosting up for the night. They're up off the ground away from predators. And that way, if you know where they're located, then you can come in the morning, try and close the distance, and ultimately be more in their bedroom kind of area. And when we were out there, Zach did everything, and nothing answered us the night before. Dude, we went out the next day, which it was warm that day, but then the next morning it was quite a bit cooler, right? And then as soon as they started letting up, they freaking ripped. And I mean, we had turkeys there was the group that we had ultimately gotten. We both ended up kind of doubling up, and
Mm-hmm.
they were a few hundred yards from us. They didn't even say a word the night before. It was wild.
I
So,
think we heard
but
5 or 6 groups that next morning that should have been within 400 yards of where we were that night before. So it's one of those things when they're tight-lipped for the day. It's typically, which, like you're saying, like, typically you can at least, they'll go off on their own at night. It may not be something that you do, but like, typically they'll just, for their hens around or whatever the situation is, they'll just rip one once or twice to let them know where they're at, and we couldn't even get that. But I mean, it worked out the next morning. We
yeah,
kind of,
hey, it was,
once the cap came off, and it was a late
we made it
starting
work.
morning too, which was kind of weird because we're sitting there and I'm like, turkey hasn't
Yeah,
gobbled. We're like 5 minutes from shooting light and turkey hadn't gobbled yet. I'm like, this ain't good. But once the cap came off, they
yeah,
left it all out there.
yeah. Yeah, 100%. It was a blast. If those guys didn't see any like social media stuff, Zach and I literally, we had double up in a matter of like 90 seconds. I ended up getting one that hit the ground. I thought it spotted us. Yeah, took off, and here was just it actually flying in from the roost. I ended up
Mhm.
taking one down. We didn't have enough time to set up cameras. We didn't have enough time to set up anything. Kind of going back to the point of like, hey, don't let the camera ruin the hunt. We just sat down, got there, and I shot. And then literally Zach's like, hey, this other group's still coming. And like they cut distance like halfway, I think, or something like that.
Mm.
And Zach's like, we need to get ready. They're coming. Like,
We're
sat down
sitting
and
there.
they
You
walked right in.
gotten your turkey, and we're just sitting there like taking it in. What I love to do once we do it, just kind of take in what just happened. And we're sitting there like celebrating. And I did this. I knew they were back there when you shot, but didn't really think anything of it. I was calling it turkeys that we had in front of us. And we were sitting there in the middle of that little opening, and they ripped it at like 100 yards. And I'm like, we need to put a butt against a seat and get ready because they've came a long ways already. So it was awesome. That was when they're in the right mood. Like I said, it's one of those where you can't seem like you can't do anything wrong, and that was just one of those mornings, one of those examples.
Dude, and I don't know what you think, but like they literally kept coming after we let a 12 gauge round let rip. And I don't know if like, do you think one just didn't even care or register it? Or do you think they were flying down when I shot to where I don't know. I was kind of baffled in the fact that they kept coming after I'd shot.
I don't think they register because like this weekend was a perfect example. I don't know if it took the cat, like surprised them enough. Like, so we were working, like I said, a different group of birds. And then we had the one that Gabby ended up harvesting come in. When she shot, they gobbled. Like I hadn't been able to get them to gobble all afternoon. And she shot and they gobbled. And I called real hard at them again and they gobbled again. And I'm like, what the? Like, you've been tight-lipped this whole time when I've been calling at you, like all of a sudden. But then right after that, like, we probably should have killed 2 of them there too, but we were getting a little too antsy and wanting to figure out what they were doing. But it was like that sound got the shot gobble, and as soon as we got the shot gobble out, it turned them into completely different turkeys. And I mean, I've in the past had where you shoot one and they just kind of jump up in the air for a second and then like look around and then go in and beat up the other turkey that you just shot. So I think it's just something that's kind of not so much something as long as like you don't jump up and take off. Like, I don't think it's anything that it just kind of surprises them and they're like, what just happened? And then go back to doing their thing, especially if you've got them tuned up. I mean, I think you know what it is about it, but it's just like something that happens and they just can let it go. I don't know. It's weird. It is very odd.
Yeah. It's wild. Well, what's kind of now on the horizon for you, like for the rest of the season, or what else you kind of got? I guess what's the focus now for you?
Unfortunately, it's to deer. I say that jokingly because I always hate when turkey season ended. I was thinking about heading out west and I just didn't end up getting anybody to go with me. So the Gabby was a little nervous. So ended up putting that to we'll probably go out next year. I've done a lot of e-scouting and stuff like that. So have a lot of places we want to check off. But that'll be for next year's adventure. But coming up we're on the backside of planting season and stuff like that. So got some of that to finish up. And then moving forward, just kind of jump into the summer grind with deer. And we're getting ready, or not getting ready. We started 70 hard today. So that's a new thing that we'll get going. And then we're coming out to Summer Smash, which we're really excited about. So that'll be a fun time.
Hell yeah. Yep. Well, okay. So kind of going to that, of course, got whitetail, all that stuff coming up. And that can be totally different episode going into it. Now we've already been rock and rolling for a minute here on the turkey side. But dude, you've had a phenomenal transformation just through your journey, Gabby. I mean, as a household overall, tell us a little bit about that, right? Your fitness journey, your evolution, like where are you at right now, and what kind of what was the change that made you want to change, or what was the thing that made you want to ultimately change and start going down just kind of like a healthier path?
We were both college athletes. So like we've always said it was kind of like the thing is the strict parent thing because we were always so regimented for a very long period of time. So I feel like we rebelled against that kind of situation. I know that's definitely how I felt about it, especially once you start getting into it. It's like, oh, I don't have to do that every day. I'm not going to do that every day anymore. Kind of it just snowballs in the wrong direction. And then you just get to a point where, I mean, things start becoming harder that shouldn't be becoming harder. Your body doesn't feel good, doesn't feel right. You definitely see it in the mirror. So it's kind of a point where we just had to make a decision. It was after we had our second child, I think, if I remember right. He had some health issues. So we had to limit our diet very, very much. So to the point where like we're just eating Like we had a list of stuff that we had narrowed it down to that's okay, we can eat that because of how things were going. And it was a situation where I didn't have to do that. It was something that Gabby had to do that because she was breastfeeding, but I wasn't going to let her go through that alone. So we just kind of adopted that as the whole household. And that kind of kick-started it. And then right after that, I think it would have been that summer. My kids were born a day apart in November. So it would have been, I think we didn't end up starting. We started 75 hard, and that's what really started the major transformation in July of that year. I ended up losing 54 pounds. She was down more than that, quite a bit more than that. Let's say like 70 or 75 pounds, somewhere in there. So it was just kind of getting to building back those habits of old that incorporating those back into daily life and making them a priority rather than something that we might have to do, making them a priority each day. And then jumping on the First Form side of it, really like through the First Form app and all of that stuff really helped us a lot, an advisor and stuff like that. And then the people within our group is very much so. It's not really that like you talk with them each day, but you see what they're doing each day. And it's just kind of that extra motivation that you need to make sure you're holding the standard, holding the line. Once you get to a point where you feel like you have a standard again, then it's like, okay, we got to hold that standard, hold that line, and keep pushing forward. So that was kind of a big part of it. Community definitely helped with that.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's been awesome to watch that journey over the last few years. I mean, it's like, it's crazy how fast kids grow up and everything, especially just younger age. I mean, and to your point, you made it earlier, is like, they literally see, copy, and listen to everything. Like once they get to that like 2 mark, and like, I mean, 1.5, 2, like it's just little mini me's or copy paste. Like it is just, it's wild. And I think that's where you guys do a great job at just being good role models for them. And I mean, really in the outdoors, the hunting world, all of it. I know kind of we had talked in the last one, like Gabby, didn't really hunt. She's more of a city gal. Everything beforehand is like, well, you've also been a great role model for her throughout the outdoor side of it and the hunting journey, right? Well, you guys are both those role models when it comes into, if we want to be great role models and ultimately introduce kids and new people to the outdoors, it's how you go through and utilize social media in your daily habits. But then on the fitness side or the health side, it's like, again, you are a role model, whether you show it online or anything, like at home, everyone sees like behind those closed doors inside of your household. I think that's just something that's been really, really cool. Cause to your point, like you guys motivate me just as much as I might motivate you or the others in the group. Like it's that old saying where you are who you surround yourself with, right? The 5 closest people to you. The truth is those people don't have to be your next door neighbor. They can be of course, friends, but the people that you follow on social media, right? The friends and relationships you have, to where we're hours apart, but I can still see what you have going on, right? The lifestyle you live, how you're crushing, kicking butt. Didn't know you were starting 75 hard, but you're starting 75 hard. And I'm like, fuck. Over here, I'm like, okay, Jake, what are you doing? Son of a biscuit, right? It's all that stuff, right? Like, all right, what are we doing to be regimented there? And you were hiking and running the hills when we were out turkey hunting, to where I have no doubt in my mind that makes you better at going out and doing that. I know for a fact. Even you guys went and visited Colorado a while back, but like you go hike the mountains, you got less there. Changing your life physically, I mean, simply, how has it helped you, of course, experience more of the outdoors? What would you contribute, like being a healthier, more fit, active individual, and how has that impacted your life as a whole and your family's life?
I think being physically active just opens doors that some may think are closed. And it's kind of, you think it's closed. That doesn't mean it is closed kind of situation. But being able, like you kind of stated there, like being able to go out and just not worry about physical limitations with things, obviously, and not doing crazy things, but going out and doing things within the hunting world or the outdoor world where you're going on hikes. Like when we went to Colorado, we hiked up, I think we gained 2 or 3,000 feet on the hike that we went on up to this lake up in the mountains. It was beautiful. But like 5 years ago, I don't know if I'm doing that, thinking I'm going to be able to do that. It's just kind of,
Mhm.
it's kind of one thing that I've really taken in, especially since having kids. It's kind of opened my eyes to that, being the facilitator for them as to like if they want to go do something, like I don't want to be the reason that we can't go do it kind of situation. So that's kind of one of my main driving forces for that. But being able to then like you're saying, experience more, being able to not necessarily see a reason why you can't go do it, why you can't go do something, no matter how hard it may be.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of individuals see this on social media a lot. I mean, of course, back and forth, you see people bash, whether it's 75 hard or different programs out there and like, oh, you're being too strict, yada, yada, yada. Bunch of bullshit. End of the day, you've done 75 hard. You're doing it again. A lot of people look at that it is too strict or it's too, hard on the body because you're doing 2 workouts a day and you're like for the individuals that hear that, you've done it. What would you say to those individuals?
That's you putting a limitation on yourself because that's really working out twice a day. Like if you can go on 2 45-minute walks if you want to, like it's not like it's physically like you're set to a physically demanding workout. And then drinking the water that you should be drinking day anyway. So like I've got one of these, like pull that thing up twice, drink it down, you're good. Like it's just kind of people. And I was for a good portion of time, I fell into that for sure. Or like
Mhm.
just
Oh yeah.
saying that like it has to be perfect when you're going through and doing all of this stuff. Like, no, it doesn't. It's never going to be perfect. This comes in ebbs and flows. Like we're definitely on the backside with what Gabby and I have had going on with her health and then my back issue. Like we've been fighting it for quite a while. So we're just trying to kickstart something, feel like we're
Mhm.
in a decent spot to do so, kickstart something to go back in that right direction and get building back in a positive direction. So it's just, and definitely having kids is really, it's funny that we were talking about this when you guys were up too. It's like the amount of time that we waste in a day really shows up when you have kids. It's like, we don't have time for that. It's like, yeah, you do. You just don't choose to have time for that. So it's
Mhm.
really just,
Mhm.
it's more of a mental grind than anything. I mean, it's really just staying to something that you say you're going to do and doing it because everybody's capable of doing it. It's not something that is extremely hard. It's just hard for
Right.
this to wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I saw it. And like you're saying, like there's for a long time, I was like, that's pretty out there. I don't know if I can do that. And it's just putting your mind to doing something and doing it, moving forward, taking one day at a time.
Yeah. Instead of saying, "Oh, I can't do that," or "There's no way I could make that happen," it's like, okay, switch the mind framing of it of how do I make that happen? How do I achieve this? To your point, 2 workouts could be 2 walks. A meal plan regimen does not mean just chicken and rice every single day, right? It means, hey, cut out the bullshit and create a regiment. And really I
Yes.
think the coolest thing about 75 hard as a whole, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like you can do any program out there, have some sort of program that's for you. 75 hard is solely to better you. It is to give you consistency. Workouts, those are for your own benefit and your health. 2 walks. You're doing one. We talked about this right before we started the show was, all right, you are walking home with your kids from school. You don't
Hmm.
have to do that. You just choose to, I'm going to walk to school and walk back with them versus drive and get them, right? You get
Yep.
the kids, you get extra time. You also get your extra workout in the day. Little maybe less convenient, right? And slower pace compared to what most
Hmm.
people want.
Yeah,
But
that's for sure.
you're taking, you're taking that time though for you. right? At the end of the day, that's for you. Reading the 10 pages a day is for you. Like it's your own personal development. How many times do people get out of school or, when's the last time they picked up a personal development book and read it, right? So I think it's getting out of that frame of mind. And I'm glad bring it up in the sense and hear your perspective is awesome and cool throughout it because we're all guilty of it. I'm not perfect by any means, but going through and seeing other people do it, hearing their experiences of it, at the end of the day, the only thing that's ultimately holding any of us back is our own personal opinion of the matter. Right. And that's so kind of the last piece I really want to hit on here and just kind of dive into because I think, of course, that lifestyle, like kind of can roll into other aspects of our life. Well, you had the family business with the mortuary and you were in that side of it. And then you decided to start your own thing, which is not easy. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have a steady 9 to 5 or something like that is there, right? What's it like starting your own business, dude?
It's been a learning experience, to say the least. Like today, I've got a skid steer that every time I get in it seems like something, I break something on it, like broke a hydraulic line today. So it's been an experience to say the least, but it's been good. I mean, like it's kind of like we talked about. I'm in the outdoors for my job. Like it doesn't matter how the day goes for me. Like I'm out doing something that I love. And that was something that uh, really I had to have some serious thought on when my family did sell the business, because I did stay in for 10 months after that. I never got into the funeral service because it was something that I wanted to do. It was something that I felt that kind of a
Mhm.
direction God was pushing me in at the time, because that's not what I was studying in school. That's not the direction that I felt like I had for myself, but that was the direction that I felt like God was taking me at that time. So made that switch, ended up jumping into that. But those 10 months really gave me kind of time to take a different perspective on things. When taking the family out of it, taking the real personal side out of it, it allowed me to kind of think and reevaluate what I was doing. And if I was going to make a switch, why not
Mhm.
do the one thing that you've always wanted to do and always loved to do? I've always done this on the side anyway. So it was just kind of one of those situations where I'd finally had enough, and it was time to make a change, and it was time to not just kind of dabble in, kind of dip your toe in to see if that's kind of a situation that you would like or want to do. It was, I need to jump, and it was another kind of thing that I was battling, and it was a direction that I feel like God was taking me, and I was fighting it for a really long time. And then when I ended up taking it, like as far as my mental clarity, I feel much better every day. There's not as much stress in my life. Definitely not waking up at 2 to 4 a.m. anymore because of that. So there's been a lot of things that's
Mhm.
been good. It's allowed me to get into some better habits as far as how daily life works, not being so hectic, which I still fight because that's been my life, my whole life up until now. So it's been good. I've stayed fairly busy, so I've been blessed on that end of it, but learning each and every day as far as the business side of things, as far as, I mean, I feel like you turn into a armchair mechanic when you do something like that. So that's been fun to deal with,
Mhm.
but it's been good. Like I
Yeah.
said, even on the days that you struggle the most, I mean, it's like today, I've come home in a good mood, and you're not coming home in a bad mood on days that things don't go right. It just letting it snowball in that direction. But it's been eye opening, but something that I'm looking forward to seeing where God's going to take me with it.
That. Love that. I mean, love that for you, dude. Like I think a lot of people struggle with that piece of like, especially when the family is involved. And I'm sure kind of feel like that social pressure of like, this is what I am meant to do or where I'm supposed to go. But I can relate to that just back when I was younger, for my entire life, I was told, Jake, you can do anything, be anything you want to be as long as it's a chiropractor, right? Like that's from my
Right.
grandfather and dad, like all that. Like, and then it really came down to dad having a talk with me, one of those, old Chevy pickup moments where we're driving down the road and dad was a chiropractor throughout his entire life. And he fell in love with helicopters. And if those of you guys don't know, follow like my dad flies choppers. Well, he brought home a little half kit built one on the back of a gooseneck trailer to the farm one day and ultimately built it. And one thing led to another. Now he's certified flight instructor, started Ace Helicopters, all this stuff. And like in that journey, it was probably a few years into it. We were driving in a truck and he's like, hey, he just had a father moment, right? Where he's like, I know grandpa harps on you, and this is like high school, like about to graduate and all this stuff, and where you feel like I have to have it all figured out now.
Mm-hmm.
Reality is like, you don't have to have it all figured out. But he's like, I know he harps on you. Jake, and he said, and I'll never forget, he's like, it's taken me almost 25 years to finally figure out what I want to do for the rest of my life. Right. So whatever you want to do, whatever your passion is, like, no, I'll go through, support you with it. And you just keep chasing what it is you want to go through and do and excel at it. And I think I felt a lot of social pressure in that moment that took a lot of pressure off me. And that's when I found and fell in love with like coaching CrossFit, started the gym, went off. It's like, hey, all of us are capable of doing anything and everything we ultimately set our minds to. Sometimes we're the least prepared individual to give ourselves that permission. And sometimes it takes a swift kick in the butt from someone else or words of encouragement. Maybe it's your wife encouraging you to go out and do different things. Maybe it was my dad, other individuals. But I think, and it's great to hear your story in this and just a little piece of it. Cause I remember those kind of struggle moments or conversations back with you, Gabby, and kind of like, where's it going? Right. And it's been cool again through that journey of like, okay, we took the jump, scary as shit. Like in the aspect, I'm assuming in some pieces, at least
Absolutely.
my label. It's like, especially as dude, as a husband and a father, and now you're like, I need to make sure I'm taking care of my family. I need to make sure I'm providing for my family, right? Like that's one of the worst feelings in the world. And just from like not being able to do that part, right? Or feel like you're feeling that part. So it's cool to be able to see you excel and go all in on it. Again, like from first conversations to where Zach really never talked at all to me when we first would jump on the phone just to sit off, like still got to twist his arm a little bit. But it's like you going into the turkey woods, you light up and like you have a passion and experience for it. It's pretty cool to be able to watch that in your business side of things too. So
Yeah.
proud of you, dude. It's awesome.
Appreciate it.
If people are wanting to get your services, right? Or if they're looking at doing some land management, right? Like what do you do, right? Like what is kind of your specialty or things that you can ultimately do as a whole if someone wanted or needed some different land work done, and kind of where do you service? Like what parts of the state, the country, what do you do there?
I'd say I would do A to Z as far as land management. I call it wildlife farming, whatever you want to call it. Land management. Been very blessed that my family has helped me. When I did jump, I made a major jump, and we spent some money to get all the equipment that I kind of wanted to start at least. Really anything that's involved in that, I'm not afraid to travel either. Like I have a farm that I manage and it's 3 hours away and I'm over there twice a week. I mean, that doesn't bother me as far as what I do really, like land consults, the backbone behind those land consults, I'll do all of that work as well. So like TSI, burning, anything involved with, I've got a skid steer and we've got a dozer. So, I mean, we can do some clearing. I mean, that's a little bit more specific to where we're at here in Northeast Missouri because we don't have I don't have the ability to haul the dozer. I have to contract. So with that, and then like anything food plotting related, like it's more wildlife side of it for deer and turkey food plots and stuff like that, do all that kind of stuff. So it's really what kind of dabbled my feet in. I mean, I have some ideas as to the 2, 5, 10 years down the road as to maybe some things we'll add into that. But I mean, that's really kind of the basis of it. We're on Facebook and Instagram are the two driving forces right now. Sumac Creek Land Management is the name of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Need some help, want some work done. Yeah. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. So kind of that south or give people kind of a radius of where you're at. I don't necessarily want to drop your home address or things like that.
I'm in Kirksville. Kirksville, Missouri,
Okay.
so we're northeast. But I mean, I'll go southeast Iowa, south central Iowa, central Iowa, west central
Mhm.
Illinois. I mean, I did one last year that was down right north of St. Louis. I mean, it's like I said, particular jobs that don't bother me to drive. So, I mean, for the most part,
Right.
I mean, I've got some friends that I've talked with that are over in, I mean, they're in really north central Kansas. Like it would be it'd be a little bit of a poke to go over there. But I mean, I've talked about them going over to some things. As far as lane consults, like I would go anywhere to do a lane consult, really. I mean, kind of out of my element as far as certain parts of the country. But I mean, a deer and turkey, the backbone is really very similar.
Similar
Would
across the
not
board.
shut
Yeah.
any, I would not shut any of those doors or anything like that. Kind of
Yeah.
something to build on, but that's what we're looking at.
Sweet. Well, there you go, guys. If you are looking for any TSI or any of that, well, whether it's burning, consults, any of that stuff, can't speak highly enough of my man, Zach. Definitely, I mean, he has the background, he has the knowledge, the experience to all of it. And to be able to look at a piece of land and be able to just make that a prime spot, he's got the knowledge and background to be able to do it. So, if you're looking for that, I'll drop all of his kind of contact points, Facebook, Instagram, all those things down in the description below. So definitely check those out. I know Zach from the last conversation is definitely willing to have any conversations. If you are newer to hunting or you have different thoughts or, questions overall, like don't be afraid or don't hesitate to hit him up via Instagram and that just to be able to kind of, and that same goes for me. Like if you guys ever have anything, you have different questions, I always love being able to get those pieces and just give my 2 cents across the board and my perspective to it. And I know Zach has literally years and years of experience and knowledge of not just like, hey, reading it out of a book, but actually going out and applying it. So definitely be able to connect with him there. And also just a great follow as well. Like if you guys check him out, Instagram, following along his journey, him, his wife, kids, all of it. It's cool to be able to see that journey and know that, hey, out behind the voice, like there's a dude who's actually out there living it, actually experiencing more of life, not just in his health and wellness, in the outdoors, in his business. It's really cool to be able to see the evolution to all of that. So, Zach, I appreciate you coming on and being a part of the show for the second time. All right. I feel like everything's loaded up.
We will see.
It's like a times a charm. We will see. Exactly. Is there anything you want to leave any of the listeners in that with, or any tidbits, nuggets of information, knowledge at all?
Just really don't limit yourself. That's something I feel like we all do to an extent. Understand that it's just as bad not to move as it is to, or it's just as bad not to try something as it is to fail at doing something. So that kind of piggybacking off of what we talked about earlier, there's a video going around on social media, Matthew McConaughey, when he talks about kind of his childhood and the word can't. That's something that we've really tried to adopt in our house. It's not that you can't do anything, it's that you're choosing not to try. So just going out there and not limiting yourself in those situations and enjoying the experience, enjoying the ride. We only get one of these, so make the most of it. Don't hold back.
Hell yeah.
Go out there
Hell
and
yeah. Love it.
enjoy things with the people you love to be with.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Appreciate it, dude. Again, thank you very much for coming on the show. For all you guys who are listening in from afar, whether this is on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, any of those different platforms, or YouTube. If you're on YouTube, definitely drop a comment down below. If you have questions, you can definitely drop them there. Of course, hit that like, subscribe, everything on the YouTube side of it. And then on those different platforms like Apple podcast, definitely leave a review. It's how we go through and ultimately help the show expand and get it out there. And if there's people who are looking for land management, turkey hunting knowledge and experience, definitely maybe share this show with them. And if you don't like it, then don't do anything. Just walk away. All right. That being said, I love you all. I appreciate you guys coming on. Zach, thank you again for joining us, and we'll see all you guys next time. Here's the end button. Stop.